Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Welcome back to Guest Indonesia Digital Series, which is a series of activities from Guest Indonesia 2020 event. My name is Farah Karima as your MC. Present with me today, Ms. Beata Mirecka Jakubowska, founder and CEO of Intercultural Education Consulting Group as the speaker. To facilitate development of critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity, Ms. Beata Mirecka Jakubowska, a passionate educator with 30 plus years of experience in international schools, employs active learning approaches to seamlessly integrate technology, personalize learning, hone interpersonal skills, and foster intercultural understanding. A true 21st century educator, Beata equips students with lifelong learning skills to navigate the rapidly changing world of the digital era. Beata actively promotes international cooperation between schools by participating in EU and European Economic Area projects, testing her Connect to Learn education platform in the Southeast Asia, and engaging in a variety of educational endeavors in Indonesia. Today, Ms. Beata Mirecka Jakubowska will be presenting practical tips for designing innovative, engaging online lessons. This session will outline the problems teachers encounter during online lessons and focus on sharing practical solutions to inspire and motivate students. Several engaging activities will be shown for immediate application in online or hybrid lessons. Now, without further ado, I will turn the time over to Ms. Beata Mirecka Jakubowska.
Thank you very much, Farah, for this wonderful introduction. A warm welcome to all the participants and the viewers. I hope that you are all healthy and safe. My name is Beata, and today I will be sharing with you some practical tips for designing these engaging, innovative online lessons. So let's begin. Since I am an English teacher, my examples will show you activities that I have designed for my own high school English lessons, but they are adaptable to other subjects and grade levels, and we will talk about that as well. So first, let's have a look at which teacher are you? Let's have a look at what the teachers do in their classes. And when you look at the text of the teacher on the left, you can see that the teacher on the left first will tell the students everything about it. And then they will have a quiz. And then they will do some exercises about it, and then another quiz. And then finally, they're going to have a test. Is that engaging? Is that exciting for the students? The teacher on the right has a different idea. Let's create a board game. So we will remember the plot and the characters. And then we will have a debate. And then maybe we will make some lap books and finally do some scenes. And we will move the novel to the 21st century. So designing engaging lessons, for example, for novel study, requires a little bit of engagement of the teacher first and designing a lesson that is a little bit innovating and different. The problems observed during the online classes, nowadays everyone seems to be online, and rightly so, but the new situation creates new problems. Those problems mostly happen with lack of opportunities for collaboration. Students are isolated. There is limited interaction between the students as well. And the reasons for these problems could be the structure of the lessons, for example. They may be, for example, the limited variability of exercises in the textbooks that the students are using. There may be time limits that teachers are struggling with. Of course, this can also be overloaded curriculum, and perhaps the technology that is being used is still confusing to the students or too varied if the situation is different for different class and the students need to be adapting daily to new platforms or new technology. So as a result, the communication skills are not developed and collaboration skills are not practiced. The students are very passive during the lessons, especially in online classes. They can turn off their video, they can turn off their mics, they can easily disengage, mainly because they are listening to just one voice all the time. And of course, that growing feeling of isolation, being alone in their house, in their home, being far away from friends, that is a huge source of frustration. But this also means that the key competencies for learning are not supported. The higher order thinking skills are not developed anymore. The writing and oral skills, the productive skills, they are they take the back burner because the receptive skills are practiced daily. And of course, because the interaction is limited, the students have difficulty in developing their leadership skills or the self-management, time management skills. So as a result, the quality of learning decreases. So this is an outline of the problems, but today I'd like to be talking about the solutions. What can we do? How can we change what we are doing in the class in an innovative way, in an interactive way? Just as in the face-to-face classroom, in your online classroom, or maybe you're teaching in a hybrid situation, what you really want to do is inspire the students, inspire them to learn. You want to motivate them. You want them to be feeling like they want to learn on their own. And what you really want to do is facilitate their learning and not just be the disseminator of knowledge and information. So I have a few example solutions that I have used in face-to-face classes and that are in some ways adaptable to the online environment that we are now experiencing. So I'm sure that many of you have used stations in your face-to-face class, using, for example, the corners of your classroom or several tables to set up different ideas. Maybe if you're teaching math, then your stations would be for math solving problems or physics or chemistry. And the students were able to contribute ideas, to share, to brainstorm, maybe to write their opinions. The key idea here was to give the students some choice and a voice. So the choice is a very important element because it gives a little bit of autonomy to the student to make the choice and stick with it. The voice, on the other hand, is important for the student to feel like they are part of the group, right? Like they have something to contribute to the lesson. So these are some examples from the paper version. Now, how can we make that version become digital? So just like in the face-to-face classroom, you would put together ideas or brainstorm. The question is where. I chose a Jamboard for this idea sharing. It can be also used for brainstorming, for opinion posting, for engagement in problem solving as well. The students may need to download the Jamboard app, but if they, especially if they're using their phones, but once they do it and you stick with it, they will be able to learn how to do this really well. If you screenshot the QR code, it would take you to a live Jamboard that I created, but you have an example over here. The sticky notes are the reason why I chose this, because you can pose questions, you can post problems, you can also create groups for the students to collaborate. And especially the important thing is that, and I've tested it myself, it is possible to contribute from the phones. I know that many students don't have laptops, don't have computers at home, that they are entirely dependent on their smartphones. And this Jamboard example is helpful in a collaboration that can be done on the phones. The QR code will take you to a Jamboard tutorial where you will be able to see how to set up an account and how to use it. The tutorial also gives several other examples that can be adapted to your subject matter or to your grade. Another way of engaging the students is a digital annotation. When we teach literature, it doesn't matter what language we use. We could be using Bahasa, or we could be using English. The annotation of a short story, of a poem, of a novel is part of the high school life to learn how to analyze texts. And a contribution from the phone or a computer, a collaborative approach to annotation where students have a text to annotate, and they can do this digitally together using either Jamboard or a whiteboard that they share, or a Google Doc that they share, then that would definitely engage them in their learning much more. A second example that I have is the peer-to-peer teaching approach. And just as in a face-to-face classroom, this is an example from many years ago when my students were creating paper books. They wrote their own original stories, they created their books, and they took them to grade 3 students to share and to teach them about the messages that their story contained. This strengthened their concentration on actually getting the story completed. It raised their awareness of what their strengths and what their weaknesses were, especially in the speaking and the listening, where they worked together to collaborate on this project. It also worked very well to increase the respect for the work of others and their ability to empathize with people who have struggled and yet managed to get their story, their book, to a successful end. Nowadays, students stay in front of screens for a very long time, so a paper book, an arts and crafts project would actually reduce students' screen time. So that might be something that you may consider adapting to your needs. But of course, it is possible to do this peer-to-peer teaching online when you are using a program that allows students to collaborate, like the breakout rooms in Zoom. And of course, this can be done for problem solving, for the communication of speaking and listening, and again, increase that respect for the other people's efforts. The story creation collaboration examples that I have for you are made digitally. They were placed in a folder that was shareable, and the students were able to collaborate. As you can also see, the students took photographs of drawings that they made at home, and they were able to insert them into the digital book. So this is a very good example for combining offline work that the students would be doing at home with online digital work that they would be putting together and then presenting in some way. So that face-to-face sharing with younger students, for example, that was happening before, can still be happening when you, especially if you teach different grade levels, and you can be collaborating with yourself, really, to put the students together and to create these memorable moments in situations when students are by themselves at home and they don't have opportunities to meet up in person. Another solution that I have prepared for you today is using peer-to-peer feedback, especially to strengthen the awareness of the efforts of others. The peer-to-peer feedback is a very important element of learning, whether it is face-to-face, whether it is online, especially online in the digital world nowadays, because of the negativity that we encounter with commenting and situations on forums when there's a lot of negativity and comments that perhaps are not appropriate, especially for children as well. They may be leading to bullying. So increasing that empathy for other people's efforts and learning to comment and to critique other people's work is a very important element. And just as in the face-to-face classroom, you can do this online. This is an example of some comments that were uploaded for a video that a student posted in the school in the school platform, and that peer-to-peer feedback strengthened here, for example, the listening skills and the writing skills. And we talked about how you can comment and how you can make sure that the students who are reading the comments feel good about those comments. One method that I have been using for many years is something that may be called 2 stars and a wish. And as you can see in this picture, the presentation that was made on a poster that the student was discussing and presenting, the other students then watched the video, and their job was to post 2 positive comments and 1 suggestion for an area of improvement. And the very important idea here is that there is no negativity, there is no shutdown, that there is praise for the work and the effort that has been put in, and a suggestion of an improvement in some area that they thought there could be a little bit more effort or better outcome. And this, in fact, is a very similar technique to what Pixar uses. Pixar has developed a technique they call plussing feedback technique. If you scan the QR code, it will take you to an article that talks about it. And the key idea here is not to kill the creativity. The silencers that we very often use is yes, but, and oh, that's not the right way, or oh, it will never work. And that immediately shuts down any form of collaboration, any form of let's go to the next step, let's try to improve. Maybe there is something to improve, let's do that. The encouragers are the phrases and sentences that start with yes and what if, or let's try to do this, or maybe would it be possible, maybe if you did this. So these phrases encourage thinking, encourage creativity, continue the thinking skills, the higher order thinking skills, continue the critical assessment of what have I done, and clearly I have done some good things, and then continue to improve in a second, third, or 25th try, in fact. Grouping and pairing students across grade levels works very well for peer teaching, as an example here that you can see in an article that a student was writing, and there were some comments given by myself and also by other students. And that leads us to the fourth solution, which is the portfolios. The portfolios, I think, is a very, very strong way of ending the school year, but you can also use them for particular units, especially if you are teaching subjects that lend themselves to units like a math unit or a science unit or a history unit or a geography unit that you would have finished. And during that unit, you would be the facilitator of the creation of this portfolio. You would be recommending, reminding the students to keep their first drafts and second drafts, keep taking notes of their observations. And the portfolio serves as a way of raising that awareness of what progress have I made and how have I managed my time and my emotions with the project or throughout the unit, even if it isn't a project. So at the end of that unit, reflecting on that progress and sharing that progress, of course, also helps with the understanding of the effort that other people have put into the work and their struggles as well. So a paper portfolio example that you see over here was happening at school with students sharing their portfolios with their peers and with invited teachers or invited guests. Of course, it is also now possible to invite all kinds of guests who may join the class online and be the facilitators or the listeners for the presentations. You can see here a digital portfolio example. For a number of years now, I have been moving away from paper portfolios to digital portfolios, and again, this helps to for the students to work together when they are able to put their heads and their skills and their strengths together. Maybe some of them are stronger writers. Maybe some of them are stronger in the technical skills. So it's a team effort. And of course, the way that you would set it up, you would want each student to show some sort of competency in every element that you would be requiring, so that it's not just one person writing and the others drawing pictures. But you can see over here that a student who is very proud of their work is also very conscious of their effort and their ability to share their knowledge with others. For example, this student who wrote about his short story wrote that it was his first time to make, an original story, that was entirely his. And when he was sharing it with the younger students, he was also very anxious and very nervous. But then, of course, the reflection of the experience and being admired even for the work that he has done, he felt really very good about that. So the reflection at the end of the school year or at the end of the unit can help the students move with their learning a little bit forward, be more aware and conscious of how do I learn, why do I learn, and what can I do to make my learning a little bit easier and a little bit better. How can you adapt this portfolio? Of course, it can be adapted to a number of subjects, a number of grades. You can showcase an art project, and because you are in charge of the portfolio, really, you are the one who sets up the framework. Then you can also be the one who channels the choices. Students really need to have some choices, but then they also need to demonstrate their learning in ways that you want them, because you want them to you want to assess the learning in your way. So, for example, adding the tech tools to it, the ability to design a web page or a website, or the ability to comment very well. Those could be elements that are added to the portfolio and not just the content which you have taught and which you have asked the students to master. So the examples that work, as you can see, are the examples that give the students some autonomy. They do need to have a voice, and they do need to have some choice in what they learn and how they learn. That engages them, that brings them a feeling of I'm important and my decisions are important in the learning. So that makes the students much more able to appreciate the work that the teachers are doing as well, especially if the peer-to-peer teaching is employed and they realize, it's pretty difficult to explain things very clearly. The examples that work are the ones that bring students together, where they can forge relationships, where they can create a bond, and also learn how to negotiate and how to discuss and how to have a difficult conversation when you will be just facilitating and helping them achieve that. And the last thing is the relevance. It really is very important for the students, especially in today's world, to make connections between the content that they are learning and their own lives. In one of the recent years, the portfolios were, in fact, including a lot of references for the students who were in my class who came from Korea and who had the information about the ferry that sank and many students died. And it moved them very, very deeply. And when we had a possibility of choice, Many of the students decided to write poems or stories or presentations about that incident because it was relevant to them and to their lives. So I encourage you to use the students' lives, the students' experiences, and their passions and their interests to help them learn your topic, your subject, and make it relevant for them. So for more examples or workshops, please contact me and reach out to me. I hope that the examples that I have shared with you today have in some way inspired you to adapt them to your own subject matter or grades, and that you will be able to take this and make it your own, adapt it, change it, tweak it, so that your students are engaged and excited about the lessons that you have with them in your online hybrid environment. Thank you very much. Stay healthy and safe.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beata Mirecka Jakubowska. It was a pleasure to have you with us. We hope everyone have learned and enjoyed this amazing presentation. So this concludes the webinar. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you at the next Guest Indonesia Digital Series. To get a complete information, please contact us at marketing@tarsus.co.id and follow our conference stream for 2 days, 4 to 5 November 2020. Stay tuned and don't miss it.
Thank you.